Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of making a boring engine into a tuner dream engines. Yes my friends, we are back. New episode starting of course the legendary 2005 Honda D16V1 Engine replica in automation game. Yes my friends, we are back with a brand new episode with of course a Honda engine. Now this awesome engine actually was requested by our dearest friend Mr. Andre Ferrara on my YouTube. He requested this awesome engine and I thought to myself, well, it's another Honda 4-cylinder engine with VTEC, so why not do a replica video and make sure to tune it and make it a tuner dream engine, because I looked online and there are many aftermarket parts that you can actually use them to help this engine and make it as awesome as possible, basically. So let's go step by step together on the stock version of this engine, and then of course let's go again step by step on how to upgrade it and make it a tuner dream engine. So let's start and let's see what's what. Alright, so let's start from the beginning. So as you can see, I've chosen the 2005 model, which was the last year of production of this engine, the D16V1. As you can see, it's a 4-cylinder inline-four engine made entirely from aluminium, not cast iron as the previous model. No, the D16V1 came with an aluminium block and an aluminium cylinder head. This thing came with a bore of 75mm on the bore and 90mm on the stroke, with a total of 1590cc engine. This thing came with a single overhead camshaft with 4 valves per cylinder, with of course with the legendary Honda technology, the VTEC technology, which is of course a variable valve lift technology and variable valve timing together. So moving on, this awesome engine was fitted with a cast iron crankshaft, cast connecting rods, and of course cast pistons. Now I've looked online and many tuners actually always try to fit some sort of forged pistons from another series of Honda engines to raise the compression ratio, and obviously because forged crankshafts are much more stronger and of course more durable than of course the regular cast pistons. So we might need to look into that when we start tuning this engine. Moving on, as you can see, I went with a +3 quality here, and of course the compression ratio on this engine is 9.4:1. I went with a 45 on the cam profile and 57 on the VVL profile or the VTEC profile. We are using variable valve timing here with, yes, I'm not joking, this is -9 quality to get the correct power and torque numbers. Yes my friends, -9 quality. Moving on, obviously this engine is naturally aspirated, and this engine came with a multi-point EFI system, single throttle body, standard intake, the standard engine parts. Of course this thing is running on regular 91 octane fuel with a fuel mixture of 13.1, and although this is not 100% correct, but to get the correct power and torque numbers in automation, I had to use 91 on the ignition timing, which is extremely advanced, but I had to use this to get the correct power and torque numbers. The official RPM limit on this engine, or the stock RPM limit, is 6500, and of course I went with +6 quality on this end on the fuel system, so I can again get the correct numbers. Moving on with the exhaust, as you can see, I went with a tubular header, which is unfortunate because the correct engine, obviously all Honda 4-cylinder engines, like I think 95% of them, they always come with a short cast header from the factory, which is easy to manufacture in massive production numbers. Unfortunately, in automation, I tried so hard to get the correct numbers using short cast headers, but it's really impossible. So unfortunately I had to use tubular headers. They are close enough, but they are not really cast. They are, as you can see, welded pieces of stainless steel maybe, or whatever material they used here. But we got the numbers. As you can see, I went with a 1.5-inch exhaust diameter, and I had to use high flow 3-way catalytic converter, no first muffler, and a secondary reverse flow muffler. And yes, I went with a +14 quality on the exhaust system to get the correct power numbers. And the results are This engine is pushing 110 horsepower at 5700 RPM, and this engine is pushing 112 pound-feet of torque at 4300 RPM. As you can see, the engine is very reliable, which is awesome. It's not, the fuel efficiency actually is not terrible, and it's lightweight, not heavy at all, because it's made out of aluminium. And it's very quiet, it's responsive, it's somewhat smooth. It's a good engine, to be honest with you. It's a very good engine. I've looked at some performance figures on the cars that were installed in, and I've looked at comments from actual users. It's a good engine, and it's very tunable. Actually, I've looked at some aftermarket parts. It's very nicely when it comes to tunability, so we will have so much fun with it. So of course, let's fire it up on its stock form, and then of course let's start tuning it. So here we go. As you can hear, sounds like any typical 4-cylinder engine. The cool thing is this is single overhead camshaft, and if you look here, this single camshaft is very busy. Look at that. Look how many lobes you have on each area. Look at that. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. I mean, you have, look at that. It's a busy camshaft. You have 16 valves, which is amazing. Awesome. Look at that. It is a beautiful busy camshaft. Anyway, let's rev this engine and let's see how it sounds. Here we go. It is a very nice engine indeed. I really had so much fun making it. And now of course it's time to start tuning this beast and turning it into a tuner dream engine. So here we go. Okay, so to start tuning this engine, there are many ways to start with. A lot of people like to start with major components. Some people, you know, because they are running on tight budgets, they like to start with the things they can afford. And because it's a Honda engine, it's typical for whoever wants to tune it to do some basic mods first, and then of course go on with the crazy modifications. And to be honest, I like this way because you can get to see your engine evolve with time, and you know, unless of course you have a lot of money and you can just dump it all or dump it on it, and you can just have a crazy engine on day one. So of course, let's go step by step, say, you know, according to budget and according to, well, taste. So of course, being a Honda engine, a lot of people actually like to, because this is the stock form, a lot of people like to replace the muffler, for example. This is a very easy and cheap modification, and which can actually free up some horses. Instead of the you know, restrictive reverse flow muffler, some people like to replace it with a straight through muffler or a far cannon, or just cut it, delete it basically, and see what happens. Some people also they decat their engine, or what that means is they delete the catalytic converter, which is illegal in some countries, and in other countries it's normal. So yes, there are many ways to start with. So of course, let's start with the exhaust. As you can see right now, I've chosen a clone version of this engine because I don't want to destroy the correct one. So yes, we are still at the stock 110 horsepower and 112 pound-feet of torque. So let's start of course with the exhaust. So let's say our dearest friend here bought a Honda Civic of some sort with this engine in 2005 model European market, and he decided to do a cheap upgrade, which is of course replacing the muffler with a straight through muffler. Let's see what kind of increase we'll get. So here we go. So yes, by swapping the restrictive of course muffler with a straight through, as you can see, we increased the power by 2 horsepower, and we increased the torque by just like 1 pound-feet of torque. And you know, we increased obviously the noise. Now the engine is a little bit louder and less efficient because, you know, it's crazy now. So let's see what kind of a noise change we have here. So here we go. not bad at all, with a muffler. And let's say our friend here kept on working and he liked the idea of upgrading this engine with, after of course the exhaust, so he decided to, let's say, buy like a high performance exhaust system, which is like an aftermarket version. So to do that, of course, there are many options. I've searched online, and yes, you can find long tubular headers for this engine, and you can use a much better mufflers, or you can actually delete the whole mufflers. So let's say our friend here bought an aftermarket header, which is of course a long tubular header aftermarket. Let's see what kind of an increase we'll get. Yep. So we got now, right now we have 116 horsepower and 113.6 pound-feet of torque. Oh, that's a good increase. We increased like 6 horses, but the torque dropped a little bit, but we gained more torque up the RPM range, which is a good thing. That means the torque will keep on going higher with the RPM range and not be killed earlier. Good. Let's hear now the new noise. Here we go. And this is how it looks. Much pretty. Yep. So after the exhaust, because to tune any engine, you need to make sure the air that goes into the engine enters the engine as quickly and as less restrictive as possible. Same thing goes with the exhaust. You need to make sure your exhaust gases actually are exiting the engine in a good and less restrictive manner. So we took care of the exhaust, and now of course it's time to take care of the intake. So a very amazing upgrade which I found online is actually installing individual throttle bodies. I found an amazing website that sells and fabricates individual throttle bodies for this engine. So yes, let's say with our friend here saved up and he bought it. It's not cheap, by the way. It's 1,250 British pounds, which is crazy money. Seriously, these individual throttle bodies, so they are not cheap. No, they are quite the cha-ching actually. Let's say our friend here saved up, worked hard, and let's say he bought them. They will look obviously more amazing, and obviously they will perform better. So let's say he bought them, and obviously because they are custom made, not factory standard, they will obviously come with a performance version, as you can see like this. Yep. So right now we have individual throttle bodies in a high performance manner. Yeah, don't worry, we'll change the color in a bit. So let's see what kind of difference we get. So with the individual throttle bodies, yes, now we have 117 horsepower and 113 pound-feet of torque. Yes, we lost a little bit of torque, but now the engine is breathing better, and this will help the engine obviously in better modification in future modifications. And yes, we gained 7 horsepower so far, and we gained a little bit of torque. Now the amazing thing behind these individual throttle bodies is of course the throttle response, and of course the noise and the extra ponies. So let's see. Yeah, listen to that. Alright, the engine now sounds really good, and it really performs much better than before. Really, now the throttle response is amazing on this beast here. Really awesome work. So yes, the engine now is running better than ever. The owner of it is enjoying it. It's enjoying those VTEC extra ponies, and of course this beautiful and nice induction and exhaust sound. It's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing. And now, of course, the next step on this engine is very obvious, which is of course installing a better camshaft. If you want to rev this engine better, if you want to make more power, you need of course an aftermarket high performance camshaft. And it's not easy actually, because as you all know, we have VTEC on this engine, and you really don't want to kill VTEC or you remove the solenoid and just go with a regular solid camshaft, which is actually very rubbish. So let's say you actually went on, and I did find online some amazing aftermarket camshaft which they actually work with VTEC. So yes, they have their own VTEC lobes and they are, you know, they are functioning with this solenoid, so awesome. So let's say our friend here saved up and he bought a high performance hot camshaft kit, of course, for this engine, which should actually bump the power better. Let's say the new camshaft is much more leaner when it comes to of course to VTEC or the regular profile, and of course much aggressive, or not really super aggressive, but aggressive enough on the of course the VVL or the VTEC area or the profile. So as you can see right now, with a not really a super high quality or high performance in a camshaft, we got 124 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque, which is awesome. Really not bad, not bad at all. Now of course it's time to fire it up and let's enjoy some horses. Here we go. Alright, not bad at all, not bad at all. Now of course it's time to fresh this engine. Let's fresh it and let's make it actually a modern beast. And I've searched online and many tuners do this, which is of course replacing the internals with forged internals from a different Honda engine. And of course doing that, it will increase the compression ratio, which means more power, and we can rev the engine higher. So let's do that. Let's say you kept the cast crank, but you went with heavy-duty forged connecting rods and forged pistons, which should actually help with, of course, fuel. As you can see, we are using less octane, and which means these new pistons actually are higher on the compression. And that's correct, because the kit from the different Honda engine, it's 9.7 to 1. Yes, right now we are 9.7 to 1. We increased the compression, and well, we can actually push it more if we want, but no. So 125 horsepower and 115.7 pound-feet of torque on these camshafts, on this camshaft profile, and look at that. Let's fire it up, but before we do that, let's increase the quality, the RPM. That should make a decent sound. So here we go. Now the new pistons, the connecting rods, very nice. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And as you can see now, the engine is lighter, it's more powerful, it's better in every single way. So because now we have ready internals, it's time now to go with a crazy cam profile with a serious high performance of course camshaft. So as you can see, because right now we are installing a new camshaft, that means we can raise the RPM. So let's see, let's go with a zero quality cam profile, and let's see, okay, let's go with 80, and here on the regular cam profile, here we go, 65. That's very good. That means it's ready now to go to the dyno. Here we go. Now of course we have 144 horsepower, 116 pound-feet of torque. Here we go. wow, what an amazing noise, really. What an absolutely beautiful noise now. So the engine now is actually making some decent power now. Again, we gained like 34 horsepower, we gained like a 4 pound-feet of torque. It's a good engine now. It's lighter, it's better, it's noisier, it's very sweet in every single way. But now, of course, it's time to go even crazier. Let's try and decat this engine as well as they do right these days, and let's see what kind of results. Whoa, that's a crazy result. And let's try to go with a bigger exhaust diameter, 1.8 inches. Very nice. Yep. 153 horsepower, 120 pound-feet of torque. Let's fire it up. Very nice now. This engine is absolutely gorgeous now. It's ready to rock, really, and it's a good power now. Can you imagine? We started with 110, now 153. We added 43 horsepower. Wow, and a lot of RPM and a lot of torque. We added like 8 pound-feet of torque or 9 pound-feet of torque. All right, so that's good. That is very good. I mean, to be honest, the engine right now is really ready. But if we want to go even crazier, and if the owner of this engine wants actually to push it further, going with a forged steel crankshaft, lightweight forged pistons, and lightweight forged connecting rods, both on them, to rev this engine even higher, just to see how much power we can make out of it. And doing that obviously needs a hotter camshaft, much better. Here we go. Super. Okay, so right now we have 161.5 horsepower and 123 pound-feet of torque. So we added 11 pound-feet of torque, and we added of course 51 horsepower. Wow, awesome. Let's fire it up. Ooh, listen to that. Now this is a very brutal engine now. Of course, let's try and change it cosmetically. Of course, being a tuner engine now, it's not a boring thing anymore. So let's say carbon fiber, shiny carbon fiber. Yep, shiny carbon fiber. Of course, valve cover, look at that beautiful shine. Same thing goes with the intake manifold. Look at that beauty right there. Alright, so yes, that's all. I mean, look at that. That's a good decent now power now. This is, of course, if you want to keep it naturally aspirated. But no, we are not gonna keep it naturally aspirated. So it's time to bolt on the snail. Okay. There we go. Let's drop the ignition timing. On 95. Look at that, 205 horsepower, and I haven't even tuned the turbo yet. Okay, so with the new turbo system and of course the quick tuning that we did, now we have 207 horsepower. Wow, if we can get it to 100 to 210, that means we increased 100 horsepower. Let's try with a bigger exhaust. There we go. There we go, 216 pound-feet horsepower and 179 pound-feet. Wow. There we go. Let's go with even a hotter camshaft. There we go. All right, let's fire it up. 220 horsepower now. Wow. And this is still street version. This is not even a racing version. Wow, what will happen if you want to push this engine to a racing form? That would be awesome, actually. To be honest, let's do that. Let's see how powerful we can make this beast with titanium connecting rods and billet steel crankshaft. These things are not cheap at all. And now that means, of course, we can rev this engine even higher to 8600 RPM. That means we can go even crazier. There we go. Good. 221 horsepower, 180 pound-feet of torque. Alright, let's fire it up. That was awesome. Turbocharging, power, torque, amazing. Alright gentlemen, and that is pretty much it. This is of course the Honda D16V1. I really hope that you have enjoyed this video. It's a very good engine, and I'm so honored that I made it in automation game. So really thank you so much for that. And that's pretty much it. Tell me what you think about this engine in the comment section below. What if you have any question about it? Do you have any experience with it? I would love to know that in the comment section below. So of course, don't forget to hit that like button, get subscribed, share the video if you want to share it, and of course I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Big thanks to all my Patreon subscribers. You guys rock. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now, my friends.